Hey, what's up? I'm John. Today I'm talking with Michael about how to price out a small bathroom as a painting contractor. Hope you'll find this interesting. We're going to dig into how we do it using our many years of experience, having sold a lot of painting projects. Let's get into it. Hey guys, what's up? It's John and Michael here. We are pricing another painting project today. This is brought to you by PaintScout, and we are excited to give you some of the background of how we've priced projects using our 40 years of combined experience and over $50 million of painting projects sold. We are today looking at a small bathroom. I think this can cause some complexity for people. How much to charge for it? What's the right amount? Excited to talk about that. We're talking about using time-based rates or production rates, so keep that in mind. And those following along, you can see on the right-hand side here, the estimate being done in PaintScout. So, Michael, we've got a bathroom. Walk me through how we're painting this. And I think we should price out for everyone. Let's do walls and ceiling. How about that?
Yeah, no, this one's pretty straightforward. I think we're gonna have some conversation around like the amount of time it takes to prep and set up this room.
Mm-hmm.
But generally speaking, we're going to just kind of measure our length, width, and height, and PaintScout and our production rates are going to do the math for us.
Yep.
Let's go ahead and get that started.
Totally. So let me do that first here. I'm going to go new estimate, and we're going to go interior. Again, for those who love templates, please use them. But right now, we're just going to go empty quote. No contact, no job address as per usual. And we are going to add an area here, which is the bathroom. Length, width, and height. Let's use our experience to figure this out. Actually, we can kind of even go off the floor tiles, to be honest. 1, 2, 3, 4. A 4x5 bathroom. How does it sound to you?
Yeah, something feels a little small there, but
5x5?
Sure.
Okay. So we're going to go width and height. So the reason I think this is a good video is because we oftentimes, I think with small rooms, if you were to present to the customer what the price is, I think a lot of us feel uncomfortable with that. It's like the bathroom is just as much as a big bedroom. And the reason is because of all the cutting and other work. So let's, Michael, why don't you walk through your process here? Walls and ceiling.
Sure. Yeah, so go ahead and let's insert the walls using the substrate category there.
Okay. 5. Perfect.
So so right now we've got 2 hours. And to the point you just mentioned that, like, I think we need to add some time for painting or prep. It's kind of one or the other. It really doesn't matter. So, for example, I'm going to have to take down this mirror. I'm going to take down probably that light fixture to some extent. I'm going to take off the towel bar, might even take off the back of the toilet so that we can get behind it, things like that. So I could be every bit of like 4 hours in here to get that set up. I would say somewhere in the neighborhood of 3 or 4 hours seems pretty appropriate to me.
Let's throw it in and see how it feels.
Yeah.
Now because I totally agree with you. We'll talk a little bit about changing your rate as well, but let's go 4 hours here. So we've got 4 hours prep time, 2 hours painting, $510. There's your formula. For those who have followed along with other videos, we've talked a lot about hourly rate, how it's calculated. In this case, just $85. That may or may not include your materials. That's kind of up to you to figure out. So 510 based on kind of your assessment, which I think is kind of similar. One thing that I've done in the past, because of this is pretty consistent amongst most bathrooms, to be honest, is that we'd have a small room rate for our paint application. And so outside, like this is like 85, bigger space, bigger room, but I might bring this down to 40 for a small area. And prep time, obviously, if you're going to take down the mirror and stuff, I mean, depending on your process, some people might tape around some of this stuff, which isn't perfect, but, we go back here, we might add an hour. So we're at, 40 square feet per hour, 425, close-ish.
Yeah, we end up in a similar place.
So that's, but the key here is that, like, there's more prep here, to your point. I've always seen like bathrooms and closets are kind of similar in that way. Like you still have to cut everything as if you would a normal room too, right? Like that's actually where your time is for the most cases. And then prep. So yep, that's totally agree with that. Let's add the ceiling in here as an option. So we'll go back here. I'm going to add the ceiling. Now let's talk a little bit about this because it's not a lot of square footage, right? Half an hour. So let's talk about prep time here.
Yeah, I mean, again, I think if we're doing the rest of the work in the bathroom, it probably shouldn't cost a whole, meaning the walls, it probably shouldn't cost a whole lot to add the ceiling in.
No.
I'd kind of prefer to paint the ceiling because that means, I can go a little bit quicker with my cut line on the walls to the ceiling because I'm going to be doing it right next to a freshly painted ceiling. So if I, accidentally get a touch of paint on that ceiling, it's a quick touch up as opposed to, it's a ceiling that I can't get any paint on if we're not painting it, things like that. So yeah, I think somewhere in the neighborhood of like half hour to an hour, I think half hour is too low to do kind of anything.
That's agreed.
And so I'd probably be at least like hour and a half is kind of like in my mind, even though it really shouldn't take too much time.
Yeah. So again, I mean, this rate is one that we've is in the system. I mean, kind of a good baseline rate, but for small areas, you might want to bring that down to, 20 square feet, right? So you have that 1.5 hours. And so now you're, covering that properly. I think that's totally reasonable at 1.5 personally.
Yep.
Yeah, half an hour is not going to get it done. The other thing too is like if you're pricing using materials as well, like pricing even materials in your hourly rate, now half an hour never is going to include any materials, and so you're going to have a loss there. And so something to consider, depending on how you've structured your system, is just that may require a second gallon of paint that's separate, and so we need to price for that as well. You can do that here. We could add a product in, go custom product, and go ceiling paint. Let's got a cord over my ceiling paint, whatever. And we're just going to add in, call it $45 per gallon. And we need 1 gallon. So does that get added in there? Let's see, total price. Oh, wait, right here. There we go. Perfect. So that's going to get added into our total cost at the end of the day for this area. So that's one way of tackling that as well. Cool.
Yeah. All right. And so I think all in, it looks like, based on that $85 an hour and a little bit of that paint and stuff, you're roughly in that neighborhood of $600, which is, kind of along the lines of what I thought we might end up when we first pulled up this picture. So yeah, feel pretty good about that. Obviously everybody's area pricing is going to be slightly different, but somewhere in that neighborhood.
Yeah. So we're talking about 6.5 hours of labor total. We are talking about $600. And again, labor is going to depend on your area. Your price for your company is going to change. If you're painting this in like high gloss paint, add yourself on 20 hours for just prep.
Yep.
So these are dependent, right? We're talking about a system, but just a standard process here, 2 coats of, eggshell and a coat of flat on the ceiling. Boom. That's kind of, that's where I'd be at too. So,
and I think you just mentioned 2 coats. I think, that's the one thing that you have, if you're new to doing this, you have to have that conversation. This is a pretty dark color.
Mm-hmm.
So if the customer says, hey, we really want to brighten up this room, we want to make it look bigger, we're going to go with like a really light gray or a, really light tan or off-white or something like that, you're probably going to need 3 coats, which is, obviously going to affect our time and our pricing. Certainly going to be part of the conversation we need to have with the client as the, estimator or sales rep on site.
Totally. Cool. All right, guys. Well, thanks for following along. Feel free to leave your questions and comments in that part of YouTube. Happy to contribute and love to hear your thoughts. So thank you very much. Thanks, Michael. We'll see you guys again soon.